Hi, in this session we are going to learn about how to post journal entries to ledgers. In our previous video we learnt about how to journalize a transaction. For those who missed that video, I am giving the link of the same in the description below. Please do watch it to get a clear understanding about the process of journalizing a transaction. In this video we will be learning the process of posting an entry only with the same transaction used in that video. Once a transaction is passed as a journal entry, the next step is to post the entries into ledger accounts. So first, we need to know what is ledger. A ledger is a book where the recorded journal entries are classified and grouped into different accounts. It is also known as the principal books of account. Principal books of account. Now we need to know the format of ledger accounts. First, the name of the account should be written at the top, and this is the debit side and this is the credit side. It totally has 8 columns, 4 in the debit side and 4 in the credit, and the column heads are date, particulars, journal folio, amount, and again date, particulars, journal folio, and amount. Thus, we are done with the format of ledger accounts. These are the journal entries of those 10 transactions which were learnt in detail in our previous video, and now we can proceed from here to learn about the posting of a transaction. Before we learn about the posting of transactions, let us go through the general rules of posting. The first rule is a separate ledger account needs to be opened for individual account heads. The second rule is the word to is to be used in the particulars column with the account written on the debit side, while the word by is used with the account written in the particulars column of the credit side. The third rule is the account debited in the journal should also be debited in the ledger, but a reference should be of the respective credit account. Let me repeat this for you. The account debited in the journal, for example, the first entry, bank account is debited. So the account which is debited in the journal should be debited in the ledger also, but a reference should be given to the respective credit account. To explain this rule, let me consider this entry, bank account debit to Sam's capital account. Just consider this as bank account. So the account debited in the journal, that is bank account, should be debited in the ledger also. Since we are considering this as a bank account, this should be debited, but reference should be given to that of the credit account. So the credit account is Sam's capital. So we need to write to Sam's capital account rupees 10 lakh. And the account credited in the journal should also be credited in the ledger, but reference should be of the respective debit account. So if you consider this as Sam's capital account, you need to credit Sam's capital account, but with the account which is debited in the journal entry, that is bank. So by bank you will be writing 10 lakh. So now we have learned the prerequisites of posting a journal to a ledger. So let us get into these transactions. If you have noted down the first rule, it is separate account needs to be opened for each account heads. So first, before posting these entries into the ledger, we need to create ledger accounts for all individual account heads. So we need to know the number of account heads involved in all these 10 transactions. Let us take account of the different account heads. So first, bank account number 1, Sam's capital number 2, building deposit number 3, bank already we have taken, so let us ignore this. Then computer number 4, RAM number 5, consulting income number 6, salary number 7, bank we have already considered. Then rent number 8, bank we have considered, RAM also we have considered. Then traveling expenses number 9, bank we have considered, again bank we have considered, consulting income we have considered, and office maintenance number 10. So in total we have 10 ledger accounts. So like this, we have to create 10 ledger accounts with the name of the respective accounts at the top. For example, bank account, Sam's Capital account, computers account, etc. In order to save time, I have prepared the format of all these 10 ledger accounts. Therefore, now we can start posting the entries one by one. The first entry, it is on 1st April 2020, bank account debit to Sam's Capital account, rupees 10 lakh. The two account heads involved are bank account and Sam's Capital account. So we have here bank account and Sam's Capital account. Now we need to apply the third rule. The account which is debited in the journal entry needs to be debited in the ledger account also. But the reference needs to be given to the account which is credited in the journal. Therefore, bank account is debited in the journal entry. So we will be debiting the bank account. This is the debit side. We will be debiting it with Sam's Capital account. Therefore, on 1st April 20, and in the second rule we have learned that before writing any account head in the debit side, we need to use the word to. So, to Sam's Capital account. The amount is 10 lakh. So one part of this journal entry is posted. Now Sam's Capital is credited in journal entry. So we need to credit Sam's Capital account but with bank account. So on 1st April 2020, whenever we write an account head in the credit side, we need to use the word by. So by bank account 10 lakh. Now let us move on to the second entry. It is on 1st April 2020, building deposit account to bank account, rupees 5 lakh. The two heads involved are building deposit account and bank account. Since building deposit account is debited in the journal entry, it needs to be debited in the ledger head also. Therefore, on 1st April 2020, we need to use the word to in debit side. So, to the account which is credited in the journal, bank, rupees 5 lakh. Here bank is credited, so the ledger head of bank needs to be credited with building deposit account. So on 1st April 2020, we need to use the word by in the credit side. So by building deposit account, building deposit 5 lakh. Now you can just pause the video and try to post the third entry in the respective account heads. Hope you are able to post. Now let me explain. The third transaction is happening on 1st April 2020. Computer account to bank account 50,000. The two account heads involved are computer account and bank account. Computer account, since it is debited in journal entry, it needs to be debited in the ledger also, but with the credit in journal entry, so it is bank. Therefore, on 1st April 2020, we need to use the word to bank, rupees 50,000. And since bank is credited, we need to credit it in the ledger also. Therefore, on 1st April 2020, by computer 50,000. Now let us continue with the fourth entry. On 5th of May 2020, RAM account debit to consulting income, rupees 5 lakh. The two account heads are RAM and consulting income. Since RAM account is debited, we will be debiting it with the account which is credited in the journal entry. So on 5th May 2020, we will be using the word to consulting income, rupees 5 lakh. And consulting income is credited, so in ledger also we will be crediting the consulting income account with RAM account. On 5th of May 2020, we'll be using the word by Ram, the same 5 lakh rupees. So the next entry. On 6th May 2020, salary account debit to bank account 1 lakh. Since salary account is debited, we will be debiting it with bank account. Therefore, on 6th May 2020, we'll be using the word to bank account 1 lakh. And as usual, since bank account is credited, we'll be crediting it with salary account. On 6th May 2020, we'll be using the word by salary 1 lakh. Now the 6th entry. On 6th May 2020, rent account debit to bank account 30,000. Since rent account is debited, we will be debiting rent account with bank account. So on 6th May 2020, we'll be using the word to bank account 30,000. And since bank account is credited, we will also be crediting bank account with rent account. On 6th May 2020, by rent 30,000. Now let us get into the 7th entry. On 10th May 2020, bank account debit to Ram account 2,50,000. Since bank account is debited, we will be debiting it with Ram account. On 10th May 2020, to Ram account, it is rupees 2,50,000. And we will be crediting Ram account with bank account for rupees 2,50,000. So on 10th May 2020, by bank rupees 2,50,000. Now the 8th entry. On 11th May 2020, traveling expenses to bank 1,200. Traveling expenses will be debited with bank account for rupees 1,200. On 11th May 2020, to bank 1,200, and bank account will be credited with traveling expenses for rupees 1,200. On 11th May 2020, by traveling expenses 1,200. Now you should be in a position to post the remaining 2 entries on your own. Pause the video and post the remaining 2 entries in the ledger accounts and check whether you have did it correct. Now let me pass it. 9th transaction. On 12th May 2020, bank account debit to consulting income account 25,000. So bank account needs to be debited with consulting income account for rupees 25,000. On 12th May 2020, to consulting income rupees 25,000, and consulting income account needs to be credited with bank account for 25,000. On 12th May 2020, by bank 25,000. Now the 10th entry. On 13th May 2020, office maintenance account to bank 5,000 rupees. So office maintenance account needs to be debited with bank account for 5,000. On 13th May 2020, to bank 5,000, and bank account needs to be credited with office maintenance expense for rupees 5,000. On 13th May 2020, by office maintenance rupees 5,000. So we have successfully posted all these 10 journal entries into the respective ledger accounts. Once the journal entries are posted into the ledger account needs to be balanced so that the balance can be taken to the trial balance, which is the next phase of accounting process. So now let us learn the process of balancing. Here we have considered the transactions of 2 months, that is on 1st April it is starting and it is ending on 13th May 2020. Let us consider the accounting period from 1st April 2020 to 31st May 2020. Sorry, it's 31st May. Therefore, we need to balance all these ledger accounts on the date of 31st May 2020. So first, let us consider balancing bank account. The first step on balancing is to find the total of both the debit side as well as credit side. Once the total is found out, the highest amount should be returned on both debit as well as credit side. In this case, the debit side has the highest total, that is 12,75,000 rupees. So let us write here 12,75,000 and 12,75,000. Now the difference between 12,75,000 and the sum of all these numbers should be written over here. The sum of all these numbers is 6,86,200. 6,86,200. So we need to subtract this amount with 12,75,000. The resulting amount is 5,88,800. 5,88,800. We are balancing this ledger account on 31st May 2020. In the particulars column, we need to write by balance carried down for this balancing figure. This 5,88,800 is the closing balance of bank account, and this is a debit balance because first we found that the debit side is more than the credit side. So the balancing figure which is arrived will be a debit balance. Now let us balance Sam's capital account. The first step is to find the total of both debit side as well as credit side. Here we find that in the debit side there are no entries. The credit side has the highest amount, 10 lakh. Therefore we need to write 10 lakh both the sides. Now the balancing figure will be in the debit side. We are balancing on 31st May 2020. Since it is debit side, it is to balance carried down rupees 10 lakh. And this 10 lakh is a credit balance because we found that while totaling both the sides, credit side was highest. So the resulting balance will be a credit balance. From these two ledger accounts, we can arrive at the conclusion that if the total of the debit side is higher, the resulting balance will be debit balance, and if the total of credit side is higher, the resulting balance will be credit balance. Now let us balance building deposit account. The highest amount is 5 lakh. So let us write 5 lakh in both the sides, and the balance will be in the credit side. On 31st May 2020, since it is credit side, it will be by balance carried down rupees 5 lakh. And now you will be able to identify what balance is this. This is a debit balance because the debit side gave the highest balance while totaling. Before moving further, let me teach you a simple concept. As we saw in the previous video, there are 5 account heads, that is asset, liability, owner's capital, income and expense. These 3 account heads, that is asset, liability and owner's capital, they form part of the balance sheet, and the income and expense form part of profit and loss. Therefore, the asset, liability and owner's capital's balances will be carried forward to the next accounting period, whereas income and expenses balances will be taken to the profit and loss account to arrive at the net profit or net loss, which in turn will be taken to the owner's capital. So, whenever you balance an income or expense account, the balance will be debited or credited to profit and loss account. Now, let us continue with balancing our computer account. The debit side has the highest total, so let us write 50,000 on both the sides. Now the balancing figure will be written in the credit side on 31st May 2020. Since it is credit side, we will be using the word by balance carried down. The amount is 50,000. Till now we have balanced only the balance sheet items, so we are writing balance carried down. And now RAM account is also a balance sheet item. It is an asset, so let us balance it. First find the highest total. It is 5 lakh and it is in the debit side, so write 5 lakh in both the sides. The balancing figure will be arrived at the credit side, so subtract 2,50,000 from 5 lakh. It results in 2,50,000, so write it here. So this will be on 31st May 2020 by balance carried down, and this 2,50,000 is a debit balance. Now let us balance consulting income account. This consulting income account is an income account which is a P&L item. First let us find out the highest total. The credit side gives the highest total, that is 5,25,000. So we'll be writing it in both the sides, 5,25,000. The balancing figure will be written in the debit side on 31st May 2020. Since this is a P&L item, we will be transferring this to profit and loss account. So to profit and loss account, the balancing figure is 5,25,000. This is an income. Now all this remaining 4 are P&L items only. Salary account, which is an expense account, rent account, which is an expense account, traveling expense also is an expense, and office maintenance is also an expense. So let us balance one by one. Now salary account, the highest balance is in the debit side, so 1 lakh and 1 lakh. The balance will be written in the credit side, rupees 1 lakh. On 31st May 2020 by profit and loss account, since it's a P&L item. Next, rent account. The highest balance is 30,000, so 30,000 and 30,000. On 31st May 2020 by profit and loss account, 30,000. So this is an expense. And traveling expenses account, the highest balance is in debit side, 1,200 on 31st May 2020 by P&L account, 1,200. And the last account, office maintenance account, we have 5,000 in the debit side, so 5,000 and 5,000 on 31st May 2020 by P&L account, 5,000. Now we have successfully balanced all the 10 accounts. These balances now will be taken to the trial balance, and our next video is all about preparing trial balances from the ledger accounts. So please do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for instant updates of all the upcoming videos. As said earlier, now let me give an insight on how to understand a ledger account. Let us consider bank account. The bank account is an asset account. So let me write here, it is an asset, current asset. An asset account usually has a debit balance. So if there is an opening balance, it will be coming in the debit side. So whenever there is an increase in an asset account, it will be debited, and whenever there is a decrease in asset account, it will be credited. So you can understand, whenever there is a debit in this account, there is an increase in bank balance, and whenever there is a credit in this account, there is a decrease. Since we have summarized all the journal entries in the form of a ledger, you can be able to see all the transaction in one place relating to bank. On 1st April 2020, the bank balance have increased due to Sam bringing in capital of rupees 10 lakh. On 10th May, there is an increase in bank due to Ram, a debtor, paying his dues. And on 12th May, you can see that due to consulting income, 25,000 rupees increases. And you can see the utilization of all the bank balances here. For building deposit we have paid 5 lakh rupees. For computer we have paid 50,000 rupees. As salary we have paid 1 lakh rupees. As rent we have paid 30,000 rupees. And 1,200 we have paid for traveling expenses. And 5,000 we have paid for office maintenance. And as a result of balancing, we are arriving at 5,88,800, which is the closing balance in the bank account. And if you take Sam's capital account, it is owner's capital account and it usually has a credit balance. So whenever there is an increase, it will be credited. And here there is an increase because Sam has brought in capital through bank. So there is 10 lakh increase. And no changes have taken place during the 2 months period. So the closing balance is also the same amount. Let me help you to understand Ram's account. Ram's account is a debtor account. It's a debtor account. So it is an asset account. It usually has a debit balance. Therefore, whenever there is an increase, we will be debiting it. And the reason for debiting Ram here is we have provided him consulting services. As a result, there is an increase of 5 lakh rupees. And on 10th May 2020, the debtor's balance is getting reduced because he is repaying 2,50,000. As a result, out of this 5 lakh, he is repaying 2,50,000 rupees. So a balance of rupees 2,50,000 is still due to us. I hope you got a brief understanding on how to understand a ledger account. As said earlier, the next video will be about transferring these balances to the trial balance, which is the third phase on accounting. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Let's make accounting simple.